Alright, so um, I didn't plan to record, I mean to post this video. I'm always recording all of my repairs, but eventually I thought a 3 hour or 4 hour video won't do any harm, so I didn't record any sound on this one. I'm doing, well, I didn't record any sound on the beginning of this repair, but at about minute 30 I'm starting to speak. So now I'm doing a voiceover just for an introduction of the video. This is a phone that was at a different repair shop, and the phone actually had issues with the signal initially, but eventually they sent the phone back, saying that it cannot be repaired, but the phone was not working anymore at all, and you can see here the vast damage that was produced to the phone. I don't know what they did. They had issues with separating the boards or whatever they did. I see that they cut the shields, looking probably for a short or something, I don't know. For the moment I'm just investigating the looks of the board, and it doesn't look good. My microscope camera doesn't describe exactly the condition the phone is in. So I repeat, the B2B partner that sent this to a different repair shop in the country was having issues with a phone signal that was lost from time to time. The phone was working perfectly. Now I'm just connecting the power supply because I want to see what the power behavior is, what the consumption is. Okay, and I can see that it takes a bit of current when the board is powered up. It looks like the NFC actually is kind of starting. It's a normal behavior for a 13 series phone. And now I'm prompting it to boot by shorting out the power connection pin. So this is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And now you can see when prompted to boot, it just consumes 23 milliamps current. And that's it, no other signs from the board, nothing. I don't know exactly why I was trying here to, why I was trying to record the screen. Okay, so I'm proceeding to desoldering the boards and have a look at each board and see how the phone looks like and how it behaves. The boards were obviously reballed. other than the fact that uh, the board was a bit dirty, um, I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary here. There are indeed lots of solder balls between the caps, but I couldn't spot any kind of obvious short. But the board was looking terribly wrong. As you can see here, it's full of solder balls. I don't know what they did or what they were attempting to do. Why it looks so bad? Maybe they just gave up and said, the hell with it, put it back and send it away. But this is quite bad to do with a customer's phone, especially when you get a working phone. Like, the phone was booting, had everything, but was having issues with the cellular signal, sporadic ones. I think here I'm still deciding if this is gonna be a CPU swap or not, but eventually I went for the CPU swap. At some point I think I've closed the recording, and what's to follow is just a microscope footage of me removing the CPU. Yeah, so here is the part where I removed the CPU. Notice that I removed the rows IC because and a few resistors on the right side of the CPU. Those resistors are actually ground resistors. They're just for the board structure, but they have no means for anything. Anyways, for the A15 I prefer to come from the right side because there are no trench caps, or I don't know how those caps on the back of the CPU are called. Unfortunately, this is not a tutorial. It's not about teaching you how to remove a CPU and how to swap it, because I do this on a weekly basis with high success, but I don't know how to explain. It's not something that you can explain. If I tell you what temperature I use and what airflow, it will not help you because you need to feel it. You need to feel how the board behaves. For example, if you remove a big chip like the rows, the board, the mass, the thermal mass will considerably change, and there are a lot of factors. The CPUs are very delicate, so you need to apply low heat, but try not to cook them, try not to rip pads, and all I can say is that you really need practice. So practice is the key. Do more, buy iCloud log boards, try it on dead phones that have where people do not want the data from, and try it as a last resort where nobody loses anything. And just do it. I won't share the temperatures I use because again it depends on a lot of factors, and this is a very delicate process. But you see, there are no broken pads on the CPU, so it looks fairly good. I find the removal of the CPU the most dangerous and delicate part, where you need a lot of attention and a lot of micro soldering skills. You need to understand how the board behaves and pay attention to a lot of the surrounding components and feel when you can actually force it, push it away. You see, if I came in from the right, the blade never touched any of the caps behind the CPU, and that's important because you can easily damage those, and when those are damaged, you're gonna put the CPU back on the donor board and you're gonna have a high current during the boot, high current draw, and then you need to remove it, remove those caps. Again, it's a dangerous procedure because you need to apply a bit of high temps on them, then UV mask them, and then reball it again and put it back. It's quite complicated. Now I'm gonna clean the CPU. I can explain how I clean it because it's not rocket science. I apply the flux and then I'm using my solder iron. It's set to 270 degrees, and I'm gonna use the regular leaded solder. I think it's 183, so it's just the solder wire, but it's leaded. And I'm just gonna put a big blob of solder on the tip, and we'll just move it around the CPU until I replace all the solders on all the pins, on all the pads, with my leaded solder. Don't spend too much time in one place, don't overheat it. 270 is not that much on the tip because during the transfer you don't actually touch the tip, you actually only touch the ball to the CPU. See, I'm just slowly rubbing it without touching the tip with the CPU, and you're gonna see that the center of CPU has a way larger mass. It can sometimes hold your ball in place, and you're gonna have to stick to one place for a moment. But if you are consistent and just move around slowly, start from the outside, go to the inside, it will work, and yeah, it will look good. Also, that ball will heat up the underfill that is still stick to the CPU, and will let loose some of it. So cleaning the CPUs for me is the easiest part of them all. I told you the trick is to remove it without damaging it physically or due to the temps you use. Right, so I think now I finished the swap of the non-leaded solder to my leaded solder. I'm gonna clean it a bit. I'm using IPA and Q-tip. I not always use the Q-tip because it leaves some hairs behind. I'm sometimes using a brush, but it's whatever I have at hand. I think I'm gonna use a microfiber cloth now. And I'm pouring some IPA on it, and we'll blow it with a hand air pump. And just wipe it like that. I don't even remember how I did that. So I'm just watching the video now and recording the sound over it, over the first part, because I told you in about at about minute 30 or so. Let me see. yeah, about minute 30 I'm gonna have also audio, and I realize that I'm gonna post actually this video. Now I'm cleaning the sides because there's some underfill left to the sides. Um, it's a bit of a tricky part. I'm gonna use some heat. I usually use 170 degrees and 30 airflow, so 170 centigrade when I clean the CPU. Remember, the CPU is dry, there's no flux on it, nothing. It's just the CPU and the leftover underfill. I need to clean this side, not because it will not fit the new board, but because you're gonna see I'm gonna use a Mijing, how's it called? A Mijing jig that I use for reballing it. And it has magnets and a fixed stencil, and if there's a lot of underfill around the CPU, it will not fit the stencil perfectly. So remember, when you clean it, when I clean it, I never go over 170 centigrade on it. When I remove the CPU from boards, I never go, I never use a setting higher than 360. And then it depends also on the size of the nozzle, the type of the nozzle, and of course it depends a lot of how far you keep the nozzle from the CPU. But again, that's something you need to learn and figure out by yourself. There's different techniques that works for different people. Notice that I'm not even holding the nozzle directly over the CPU, I'm just trying to hit the areas that I'm working on. And now I'm gonna proceed on cleaning the rest of the glue that is stuck behind the CPU. Again with the same settings, 170 degrees centigrade and 30 air. And I'm just using my 3D tweezer, the tool 3D tweezers, and I'm just, while hitting the glue, I'm removing it with the tip of the tweezer. Do not push, do not make any effort. If it doesn't come out gently, don't force it, because there are a lot of tracks there. It is highly sensitive, so you're gonna feel when the compound is warm enough, and it goes away easily. It's not difficult, just need to be patient, don't overheat it. Notice that I'm taking the hot air away, or I'm adjusting the nozzle to heat up the glue. See, so it's slowly going away. Okay, so that was kind of it for this cleaning. Um, there isn't much left. You don't need to wick it, and I'm just leaving the balls as they are there. They will also hold the stencil in place better, and it helps with the reballing process. Yeah, and here I'm starting the reballing. This is the jig I told you about. I'm using a very dried paste, so I take the paste, it's 183 paste. I put it on a tissue, paper tissue. I heat it up a bit with the hot air gun, and I really squeeze that flux from it, so it's gonna be um, extremely dry, and that's it. This jig is very good, I recommend it. It's very easy to revolve with it, and just as any other I see, when I reball it I use 330 degrees centigrade and 30 air. You need to use ample moves, like big ones around it. Don't even matter. I think I'm using the 6mm nozzle now, but you can do it with anything. It's all about how close you get to the CPU, and yeah, and that's it. I'm keeping my flux syringe at hand, because if I see balls that didn't drop perfectly, I'm gonna reflow it again while the stencil is on, but before reflowing it I'm gonna apply some flux on it. And you see I'm doing ample moves so I can get a hit on the whole stencil so it doesn't warp, and I want to hit the CPU evenly. Um, it's not very much of that 330 degrees that will get to the CPU itself. The paste I'm using is 183. I'm seeing lots of people using 148. Yeah, it's easier to do it with 148, but I find the 183 the perfect balance for how strong it is, and the CPU is getting hot. I don't know, I would not use 148 for the CPU. Yeah, and I think that is it for now. I'm not gonna speak anymore. In about a few minutes or so, you're gonna hear me speaking. Let me see exactly. Yeah, in about 6 minutes, uh, I'm gonna start the voice recording. Um, that's it for the reball. It went nice. It looks good, and watch it further to see actually what's going on. At this point I was planning only the core board swap, so the CPU swap. I didn't even pay much attention to the lower board, but if you watch this video further you're gonna see what I'm gonna do, and you're gonna see what decisions I'm gonna take for this repair. So this will be a long video, but I think it's gonna be an interesting one. So if this starts, it should start in DFU mode. So we should see, I don't know, 80, 90 milliamps. Actually, okay, now it's good. We don't have a short. Good. Let's print to boot. Yeah, so it stays at 58 milliamps. Definitely sure it's in DFU mode. I'm gonna turn off the power supply. That is good. It is in DFU mode because this is not a data recovery. I want to fix this phone for a friend, and I didn't swap the NAND. These 13 Pro Max boards are a bit weird because the NAND is right on top of the PMIC. When you heat up the NAND, you can do some damage on the PMIC. So I don't want to swap the NAND. It's the same size. It's gonna be okay. I just want the phone to work. So now I'm gonna have to reball the boards and put them back together and then flash it, and we'll see how it works. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video for now and resume a bit later. Okay, so let's start cleaning the board, cleaning the old solder. Well, it's original. Let's see. I'm gonna apply flux, and then I'm gonna apply leaded solder over these points, and then we're gonna wick it. We're good now. Let's see, iron at 380. Leaded solder. Alright, so here we go again. I think I need more heat here. Let me set it to 400. It's not playing nice, and I think I need more flux. It's okay. We are cool. Went a bit cheap on the flux. I don't know why. Duh. I lost my needle on the flux syringe. So I started these repairs long time ago, but I had to stop because I had some more urgent ones. This was an iPhone 13 Pro Max that was butchered by another shop or a couple of repair shops. I don't know if you remember how the board looked like. But it wasn't an option to continue the repair on that one. So this is the original board. As you can see, heavy damaged. I just swapped the CPU, the logic EPROM, and that's it, because we have no data on the phone. So yeah, the NAND didn't have to be moved over, so I'm using the NAND from the donor board. In this case the phone will start up in DFU mode, but we can just flash it and we should be good. You saw that I soldered the CPU. The worst part in doing these swaps is preparing the donor boards, especially on the 13 models, where if you apply too much heat you easily damage the board, and especially if we need to swap the NAND, because the NAND is right on top of the PMIC. And everything is how's it called? Everything around the PMIC has some kind of underfill, and all the resistors or the caps will start to form balls, and they will short each other. The same happens on the 13 models. So I rarely got iPhone 13 to fix, the plain one, the simple one, not the 13 Pro Max. But I only got the I only got two in the past days, and both of them had huge damage, as in they had like, I don't know, 100 pads ripped. And I don't have a problem redoing the pads, replacing the pads and fixing them, because of course out of 100 maybe only 20 are needed. But the problem with the 13 is that the board is very narrow and very long, and both of them, as I said, were heavily damaged, and the ripped pads on the core board were ripped also with a track inside the board. I was able for both of them to fix a few of them, but there were like a couple of pads that were really broken inside the board, and they didn't have the connecting layer on top of the board, I mean like the second layer, but they went inside the board straight down on the fourth or fifth layer, and I found it impossible to rebuild those, because if I scratched there, there were tracks on layer 2, 3, 4, and I was damaging those, so I had to swap the CPUs, of course. It's very easy to swap the CPU on 13 models. I don't know why, but it's really easy. If you wanna start with something, start with that. But again, when you prepare a board for a swap, a core board for a 13, you always get solder balls around the PMIC, so you need to remove that shield and clean all the shorts and the balls there. They are very misleading. Always remove the shield and check there, because I always got balls even if I was paying attention on my heat. Yeah. But that's life. As I said, it's easy. The most time you lose is preparing a donor board. And I don't know, I've seen those CNC machines. I don't know how good they are or if the investment's worth it. Well, for me it's not, because this is not something I do for a living. I do it just occasionally and as a hobby. But those CNC machines, if you can remove the CPU and the NAND with them without having to do much work after, then I think they are great. Otherwise, it's a pain to clean the board, have those removed, and have eventually a working board after you do all this. So I have here the bottom board. It looks like shit. I don't know if it's working or not, but we'll have to deal with it and see. Even if we don't have baseband yet. I don't know what the problem was initially with this phone, why they sent it to the false shops. I understand it had some issues with the signal, so maybe it was a baseband related issue. This is really, really bad, this board. But I think it already has low melt on it. Let me put it here. If it has low melt, I should be able to clean it quite fast. Don't like the why isn't this camera doing some brightness thingy? Yeah, I think this is better. Need to go manual on that. Alright, so it looks like this was previously worked on. Look at these balls here. What the fuck? And there's also solder paste here. Oh man. There's solder paste everywhere. Everywhere it's filled with solder paste. I don't understand these people. Yeah, I will have to swap this board because it's really not usable. Let me make the microscope. Let me make it higher. So you see the mess here. The mess. It's a mess. Okay, so not gonna do anything with this board. I'm gonna put aside my good CPU board and I will clean the board that I got from the donor, that I used the core board from. I will clean this board. Let me switch. So I will clean this one. This is the donor board I used, and I will move over the baseband CPU, the baseband EEPROM, and the Wi-Fi chip. I'm gonna move them over and we'll test after. So I'm not gonna record this because it's gonna take some time, and it's not the purpose of this video. This video was supposed to be for swapping the CPU on the 13 Pro Max. I know that swapping this will introduce a lot of variables. It is quite possible that it actually might not work well. Sound is too big. Okay. Yeah, but that's what I'm going to do, because there is absolutely no way I could use this messed up board. It's I can't even describe how people could work like this. It's a mess. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna record this too. Yeah, so we'll start with the donor board. Let me clean this up because it still has some... I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna keep the recording on. So this will be a full board swap, top and bottom, for an iPhone 13 Pro Max. I don't know if I have any videos on 13 Pro Max, but this way you'll be able to see what's happening. So first I'm gonna clean the thermal compound of it, but again I might stop for today at some point and come back later or another day, because this will add considerable time to repair. I need to submerge this in alcohol because it has a lot of that thermal compound in there. And I need to clean it properly. And that's some nasty crap. So I think we're good. I will change the nozzle to my hot air gun because I'm still on the big nozzle that I used for the CPU, and I don't need that big nozzle here for this job. I prefer the small one, that's 6 millimeters I think. I'm gonna set the hot air to 230 and 30 air, just to clean the underfill around the components. Alright, let's bring back this one. Let me use some hot air to evaporate the IPA. Alright, let's put the board in the holder. This is stuff you do for friends. This is an expensive repair, but also it's an expensive phone, so once you spend the money on it, let me adjust the camera. So we're good here. Something really wrong with my camera. But we're gonna have to live with it. So first of all I'm gonna use 230 here. And I'm using a number 11 blade. And I'm gonna be slow and careful because this will be my good board. I don't wanna move any of the components around here, because that will just create more work to do afterwards, to solder them back and so on. This is good, it's not very sticky. It's not always like that. I'm using my iPhone to record this, so whatever you see on the big camera, it's actually an iPhone. I used it in the past too, but I was recording the video on the iPhone and the rest on the OBS, and then I was doing the editing of the videos. But this was taking a lot of time because I was using two video sources, had to align them, and so on. And now I purchased an OBS camera software that I installed on the iPhone, so that I'm able to connect it via USB to the computer and record directly in OBS, but I don't really like the way it's behaving. My computer is also slow. I'm using an iMac, a 2015 iMac, but I have lots of programs running in the background. A couple of browsers, some remote desktops, Teams, email, Outlook, and I don't think that helps a lot. I don't know, it feels a bit laggy if I look at the display. Also, OBS is now on the Retina screen of the iMac, and it doesn't really like that for some reason. I think it's using some of the processing power to render the OBS screen. It's not working very great on Macs, but I can't ditch Macs because I work on a Mac since years ago, and I'm not prepared to switch to Windows for the main machine. I fucked up this resistor. I've seen people using, other fellow YouTubers, fixing phones. I see them always using like 260 to 80 degrees. Even so, Reva using 320 degrees to clean up this underfill around the components, but I really don't see why you need those temps. For me, with 230 centigrades, it just works fine. Yeah, so I finished cleaning around the baseband CPU. I'm gonna do now the Wi-Fi chip. we cannot unbind yet the Wi-Fi on Series 12 and up, so we'll have to move it. Okay, so here we have a couple of coils that we need to clean. I'm gonna leave them for later, and here we have another couple of chips. Leave them later because I will need to sharpen the blade a bit to be able to put it in between the Wi-Fi chip and those ICs, like here. You see, here it's a very narrow space, and if we don't clean it well, this part will just fly when we remove the Wi-Fi chip, and we can't let it fly because we need it. I'm just gonna clean around them first. Okay, I'm gonna need to sharpen this. I don't necessarily need the tip to be sharper, the sharper than it is, but I need the blade to be as slim as possible. So here you cannot use tools like, where is it? Like these hooks, you know? They are not slim enough. Okay, so let's see where we are with it. Let's start with this part where we have the coils. Oh, so my tip broke. What the fuck? It's moving. My board is going away. Okay, so this is definitely not my best job ever. Can also see the coil moving. Freaking hell, that's annoying. Okay, I need a new blade. Need to replace the blade with a new one because I fucked up this one while trying to sharpen it. Out with the old, in with the new. Can you see something there on the microscope? You can't really see because I have a really bad camera on the microscope, and when there's chips like this one that are white, it doesn't balance it well. Okay, so this is really bad. It's been a while since I've cleaned up something like this bad. But that's life. The coils will be okay unless you hit the wire inside, but we didn't get to the wire, so I think it's okay. Notice that I'm constantly taking away the heat. This is also a crap I see here, that if you don't clean well, will really fly away when you remove the Wi-Fi chip. There's also, I don't know if it's a filter or a capacitor, I think it's a filter, that one. That is prone to fly away if you don't clean it well. Notice that I'm scratching the Wi-Fi chip. I actually don't need this one anymore. For the one that we take from the original board, I am not gonna clean this. I'm gonna remove the chip together with this crap. I'm even gonna cut it a bit here. Yeah. So I can pry my knife in. I think we're good. So everything is out here. We only have the logic EPROM, but that's the baseband EPROM. But we're fine with it because it is not I'm gonna pry this one like this, and will fly over like that. I'm gonna use 380 because I don't need them anymore, and I need to be fast, so it's going 380 and 50 R, and just pry this motherfucker. Yeah, we're good. I broke some pads, but they were from the chip, I don't care. And now I'm gonna remove the baseband CPU exactly like that with 380. Can you see how I'm prying it up? Perfect. We have a pristine board here. Now, there's one more thing to do, and that's to remove the logic EPROM. I'm not gonna reball the original one. So, as you see it here, I'm gonna mark the pin number 1, it's here. Excuse me. And I'm gonna use some liquid flux. Using liquid flux will help keeping the balls intact. Okay, that's way too much. Yeah, so again 380 for this one. When I see it dancing, I just lift, and you see I have those nice balls that stayed on the board. Okay, let me clean it a bit. Perfect. I will just add a tiny amount of flux. Okay, and now I'm gonna take it straight from the donor board, put it like this. So this is the donor. Oh, there's a mess there, of course. Let me clean up the mess a bit around it. The brush. Okay, some liquid flux, because again I want to keep the balls intact. Perfect. And this time I'm not gonna use 380. I'm gonna use just 360. 360. And I'm gonna blow the air away from the baseband CPU. Înregistrez, mamă dragă, Iisuse! Dacă vezi că nu vorbesc. Right, and now we go straight to the second board. Was brought. Shit. Alright, so I found it. But I think it lost the... Oh my god, it was very, very dirty. Alright, so I'm gonna reball this one. fucking hell. Alright. That's a mess. Okay, let me move it a bit like this here. Good. I'm gonna pause the video for a second to have a cigarette and then I'm gonna reball it. So there's a small one. Let me see. Let me grab the stencil and not lose this little one. I don't have anything for it on this stencil. So I'm gonna use maybe this part here. Let me get some dry solder paste. Put the heater on. I'm gonna put the hot air on 330, 30 air. Get some of the solder. Let's try with this one. I don't like it too much. Let's see on the CPU stencil. Is it better? No, it's the same. Yeah, I'm gonna use this one then. It's not a perfect match, but they will eventually align. Let's see what we come up with. So 330, 30 air. Just go around a bit to heat up the stencil. We're gonna have a lot of balls here. Okay. There's a big one we don't need. There's my chip, I think it's this one here. Correct. Grab these small ones. Push them out of here. The balls are a bit big for my taste. I'm gonna reflow it again slowly so I don't lose it. Yep, that looks good. And now I need my board. Where is it? It's here in the holder. God forbid I'm gonna lose this one. Let's put it here. And let's first clean those pads. I'm gonna use some flux. Okay, I don't think I will be able to wick it, but I can give it a try. I need more heat. On the soldering tip. Okay, so I think we're fine. Just hope I didn't damage the resistors. They seem okay. Right, I'm gonna add a tiny bit of flux. And let me grab the little guy. That will come like this. This is so tiny. I've lost this in the past. Then I was using the JC programmer to copy the data. But lately it doesn't work for some reason. I don't really know why. I'm gonna set the hot air to 350 and very low air like 20. Let me see if I can hold it like this so I don't blow it away. And just have patience. One of the pads is ground, so that requires more time, but I think we're fine. Yeah, it bounces around. And the resistors look fine. So I think we're good with it. Give it some time to cool off. I think we're okay. And now we can proceed with cleaning the board. I'm gonna use lots of flux. And I'm gonna use leaded solder on the tip. And just go around here. So I can replace the original non-leaded high melt with some leaded. It's a middle temp one. I think it's 183, this leaded solder that I'm using. Yeah, I'm slowly replacing the balls around here. I think we're fine. Okay, and let's try to wick this as best as we can. It's not gonna go out, take out everything for the first time, but we're giving our best here. And then we're gonna use the hockey thing tool to scrape this crap off, and then we're gonna clean, and then we're gonna wick again. This is not as terrible as it seems. You just have to be very careful not to move any of the components or short anything. Alright. Clean the tip and add some solder. Let's see, it's gonna. Just the camera. Tad. Okay, and now let's use this hockey puck thingy. Hockey, I don't know what, but it's a great tool to do this. Okay, I'm gonna give it some hot air, like 30 air, just to soften this. Careful here, no pressure. I'm not applying pressure because I don't want to scratch the board. I just want the glue out, and once it softens it's really going. So we don't need brute force. Yeah, I'm gonna take a toothbrush if I can find it. Clean this a bit. Okay, perfect. Let me get a microfiber cloth and just wipe it. And now let's apply again some flux and do another weak exercise. My god, the sun is out. Incredible. It was a bad weather today. But, you know, it's November and it's been a very, very light autumn. We really had good weather, not cold, no rains, just now and then, and it was really good. Can't complain. The only problem I have is that I don't even remember when we last had a Christmas with snow. I really like snow in the Christmas, but lately we're not getting that anymore. When we were young, my god, we always had snow for Christmas. So I think we're good with this one. I think all looks good here. Yes, yes. Good. Now let's handle the Wi-Fi side. I hope I didn't break any pads, but I think the ones that are broken there are from the old chip itself, not from the board. Let's apply my lead solder here. Good. 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 I'm always not paying much attention on this part of the Wi-Fi pads cleaning, because coming back from the baseband I see those that are so small and tiny. These ones feel large and easy, and I tend to mess up parts around them. You let your guard down, and that's what happens. I'm just wicking it brutally here, and then I'm gonna cut this part of the wicking wire and wick it again. I'm just gonna take the heavy stuff off. Cut it. And some more flux. And do a final wicking here. So while we're here, I'm gonna also wick the board, the interposer, because afterwards I'm gonna give it a bath in IPA just to clean off all the mess and have a clean board. I really like to work extremely clean. I have noted the orientation of this chip, but maybe we'll take it from the original board if I don't forget. Then I'm gonna rely on ZXW, but it's not a good thing to do that, because I've seen times where ZXW was wrong about the pin number 1. Okay, I'm gonna brush it. And then I'm gonna use the hockey thing to clean the rest of the underfill around. Alright, again I run hot air on 230 centigrades and 30 air. Let's clean around a bit. Alright, so I think we're cool here. And that's it. Let's wick the interposer. I'm gonna wick it directly without adding any solder. In theory, when I wick the interposer, I do it on a hot plate. I heat the board up to 100 C and then just wick that. But now I'm taking advantage that the board is still a bit hot from all that stuff I did. So we'll see how it goes. Again, iron very hot at 400. And let's see how it works. It's quite decent. Yeah. Trick is not to go fast, so it sucks up this high melt solder. Note that I'm constantly rotating the board so it suits my position here. These pads will oxidate a bit because I haven't pre-tinned them, and when I'm gonna submerge it in alcohol they will be a bit gray, but that's not a problem because the new solder balls will just stick. So the whole idea cleaning the interposer is lots of heat and lots of flux. Good quality flux, not just any flux. I'm using the Mechanic 559. I think it's a Amtech copy or something, but I'm extremely excited of it. I think it's the best ever I had. And I can buy a full jar of it and just refill my syringe. Need to cut my wick. Worst thing about wicking interposers is that it really messes up with your solder tip and having trouble cleaning it up afterwards. It gets heavily corroded from the rosin that is actually in the wick. This wick is a Chemtronics wick, very good wick. Extremely excited about it too, but it really hurts my solder tip. I'm coming over it again because it has more solder. Oh, this is annoying. Alright, let me see. The tip is not that bad. I managed to clean it. You need to clean it fast and then apply fresh solder on it so it stays fresh. So, situation saved. Board is done. The donor board is ready to receive its transplant. I'm gonna give it a good bath in IPA. I'm gonna use a tougher brush at the beginning to clean it really well. And then I'm gonna use a softer one to be able to reach all the corners and remove all the flux. I really like a clean work. I don't understand how people like use all the board, how they can leave them like that. I'm gonna use some microfiber cloth. Just to get everything out. Right, and now I'm gonna use some hot air. Just to evaporate the IPA. We're gonna add back some flux when we solder back the baseband IC and the Wi-Fi IC, but it's not gonna be that much, so we're good. Okay, so here's how a board should look like when you work on it. It should look like new. No signs of flux, no signs of solder, nothing. Yeah, so this is cool. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video here because I have some other things to do, but I'm gonna come back on it later and continue the work. Right, so let's continue. We'll put this aside, get the original board, and let's remove the baseband and the good Wi-Fi chips. For this again I will need to clean up the underfill, again using 230 and 30 air. I'm just gonna heat it up around. Can't understand how this board could end up looking like this. I'm not gonna pay too much attention on the surrounding parts here because I don't care about them. All I care about is this chip and the Wi-Fi chip. So everything is loose here on this board. It had extreme heat. I hope it's not. I hope the baseband IC CPU is not damaged, nor the Wi-Fi. Alright, this is clean. Let's jump to the Wi-Fi. Again, as you see, I'm not trying to scratch the Wi-Fi chip, but I don't pay any consideration to the chip here behind it. So I'm just protecting the Wi-Fi chip. And the same will be here. I'm gonna scrape off this chip. Oh. I hate when this happens. So the coils I don't care about. Look here how many solder balls, what a mess they did with this board. Everything is loose. Okay, so we're just, let me see, where's the pin number 1? I have no idea. Oh, it's here. So it's pin number 1 is next to the NFC. Good, so now let's pop this out. Alright, we'll do 360. And 60R. I'm gonna start with the Wi-Fi chip. It's just not ready to come off. Okay, so chip is out. I hope I didn't break anything. I'll put it aside. And now we'll remove the baseband CPU. Again, careful. I'm gonna fit it up evenly. The board was already hot from the Wi-Fi removal. It's not ready to come out. I don't want to force it. I'm just gonna move these parts. I see it coming out this corner, but here not yet. And the chip is out. Hopefully we didn't break any pads. I think we're okay. We'll put it here. Gosh, this was hot. Ooh. I lost my baseband CPU in this tool. Right. And let's clean this one up. It's not gonna be very pretty. Okay, we'll set the iron at 270. Give it some flux. And we'll use some of the leaded flux, leaded solder. And that's about 183. Just wiggle it around. I can see the black goo coming off. Okay, I don't wanna heat stress it too much. And I'm gonna try to wick it now as best as we can, not scratching it. My tip is already bad from the rosin in the wick. Again, temp is really low on the tip, so I don't heat stress it too much. And some solder back on my tip. Alright. Now let's get a cotton swab and clean it a bit. It is fairly clean, so I don't need to use the hockey thingy, but I'm gonna need to wick it one more time. Maybe not even, but I'm gonna do it if I apply the paste already. I'm just gonna wick it again. Okay, and we're done with it. Let's grab another cotton swab. Clean that again. And we are done with it. We are ready to reball it. Where's my microfiber cloth? Here. I'm gonna clean it a bit more like that. Yeah. Put it aside. Grab the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi will be smoother because it doesn't have that underfill too much. Just add flux. I'll just add leaded solder. Okay, we're good. We can wake it now. Good. Remember, the iron tip is still low at 270. Okay. We can proceed on cleaning this one too. Perfect. Let's clean it like this. The sides. Let's clean the top because it was miserable from the beginning, from the previous work attempts on this board, from the other shops. Alright, so we're done with it. Let's just go to reballing it. We're gonna reball the IC. Oh, this is so dry now, my paste. I think it's since 2 days ago. That is just falling in pieces, but it's okay. Let's do this. I'm gonna set the hot air to 330 air and just spread some very dry solder paste. This is 183, sorry. 183 paste. Getting a call. Alright. And now we'll just go round and round. Perfect. There's some crap up there. I think that ball will be too small. But I don't think it's very important. Let me open ZXW. I think the balls on the side of the Wi-Fi are just grounds, but I'm gonna check on the schematic. So we have on Series 13 Pro Max RF. Well, they're not grounds. I was mistaken. Let me see how it looks. But it doesn't look bad. I think we're fine. What's the... Let me see where that ball is. So we have it like that. And the ball was the second here. So the second here was used. Let me look again closer. Or was it this one? So the third. Okay, let me add another very tiny ball. There's lots of them here. If I put that one, it's gonna be too much. Of course I lost it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, come on. What a mess. It doesn't want to stick there. Let me add the flux and reflow this one a bit. Okay, I'm gonna set the hot air now to 350-40 air, and I'm gonna heat this up just a bit so I can spread some flux, not too much. Perfect. Let me add a tiny bit of flux. And okay. I think we're fine. Where's pin number 1? I think it's like that. Next to the NFC chip. Okay. I think we're a bit too far. I think we're good. So we're at 350, remember? No. Okay, I don't like this cap here because it has lots of solder on it. Let me see if it's shorting with the Wi-Fi chip. Okay, it's not. We're at 234, so we're good. Right. Let's do the baseband CPU. fine. Okay. Let's do again 330. 330, 30 air. Crap. It's not good. I have one ball. One lost ball that migrated there. Let me see, is that used? So we're on the lower, the outside. So it goes like this. Yeah, those are both grounds. Let me check with the multimeter just to make sure. It's ground. That's a ground, yes. So we actually don't need that one. Or the solder. The solder from that one, split it across the next to it, but both are grounds. However, I'm gonna try to fix it. You know, don't do this at home, because this is terrible. Although we would be better off without them, but yeah, so it's factory like. Alright, let's do a reflow. Okay, perfect. Now let me grab the board. It's gonna be like that. Let me heat it up just a bit. Okay, let's add a tiny bit of flux. Not too much because the chip already has the flux on it. Okay, and let's add the chip that is gonna be like this. Okay, let me try to arrange it the best I can so it doesn't have to bounce too much. I think this is good. we're gonna go 350 for tier. I think it should come a bit down towards me. And it's going to settle. Okay, so I managed to bump it a bit. That's good. Now we're gonna leave it to get the heat out of it, and then I'm gonna do some measurements. I'm gonna pause the video for now. Alright, so now that the board is colder, I'm gonna clean this a bit. Some alcohol. Clean also this one. Alright, and now I'm gonna take the multimeter in diode mode. Let me take this solder paste aside. I don't wanna spread it around. And I'm gonna probe some of the caps around the baseband CPU to see if there are any shorts, dead shorts. This is not on diode mode. So first start with the Wi-Fi is okay around the CPU. No shorts. Good. No shorts means that we are good. I can't promise that it works. But I think we're fine. So next, let's reball the freaking interposer. This is something I really hate doing. I'm gonna use this crap. There's a mess here on my desk. Let me clean this a bit because there's some flux behind the board. Alright, let's see where does it stay here. And let me grab the 13 Pro Max stencil, which is that one. Okay, let's see. Is it clean? I think it's clean enough. Still has some crap on it, but I think we're gonna be fine. Alright. Let's see. This is moving. That's bad. Okay. So we'll need to we'll start to do the solder around the SIM tray area because that's the worst one of them all. And then we're gonna move aside along. I'm gonna take the 148 solder paste. I'm gonna grab a tissue, paper tissue. Actually it's toilet paper, but what can you do? We use what we have at hand. And I'm gonna take a hefty amount of paste, put it here and dry it up, but not too much. I don't need it to be very, very dry. I think that's enough. That's actually a bit too wet for my likings. Okay, we're good. Because it's too wet, I'm gonna come with a microfiber tissue, and I'm gonna just scrub it a bit. Maybe it's gonna take some of the moisture out, but it's really, really too wet. This reball will be a bit messy. Păi nu știu, vedem cum decurge acolo. Bine. Okay. Let's try to dry it a bit. Okay, now I'm gonna lift it. It's now or never. Let's see, what are we getting here? Okay, so it's not that bad. We have some of them. Oh, this is really bad here. But we're gonna put it on the heater and see the result afterwards. It doesn't make any sense to clean it now because we're just gonna make a mess. So I'm gonna put this on 190 because it's gonna do only 170 when it's 190. And leave it run like that. While it heats up, I'm gonna clean this. I have here a very dirty IPA box that I'm gonna first run it in. Right. And now I'm gonna clean it a bit in this one that is a bit is not that dirty. I think ultrasonic machine would help a lot cleaning this. Okay, so the balls are starting to form. Let's have a look at them. Right, so we have here, as you can see, two that don't wanna split. I'm gonna help them. We have here several that are not splitting up. I'm gonna help them too. The ones that are three are the worst. Okay, so that ball is not good, too big. Also too big. Okay, so this is the worst tree ball ever. Okay, I think I fixed them all. Now I'm gonna get it off and we'll let it cool. Then we're gonna look at the balls and see which ones are too big, because we have very big ones. I rarely get such a bad reball. I'm gonna cut parts of the ones that are too big. Okay, I'm making a mess here. I think I would be better off just reballing it again. Right, so I did a monumental mess and I've cleaned the board again and will reball it because it was really bad last time. take another shot of the solder paste. Last time it was too wet and it was just dripping between and touching the balls between each other. I'm drying it a bit better now. Let's see what we have. If it's too dry, then it's another problem. Yeah, so this is better. If it's too dry, it will stick to the stencil, and when I raise it, the balls, the solder paste will not remain on the pads. I think this is perfect now. If it's too wet, you saw what happened, it just dripped. Okay, so let's see what kind of results do we get now if I lift it. Some of the solder remained on the stencil, but most of it is on the board, so we'll have to redo those pads. There's not that many to redo. We're fine. Let me clean the solder from the seam tray. So I have a piece of it here. Perfect. Okay, let's take the heater. And let's cook this one. I'm gonna start the heater to 190. Like that, you can see it, it's 190. Because it will it's about 20 degrees off, so if I set it to 190 it will actually heat it up to 170. Okay, this I'm gonna keep here, and I'm gonna clean the stencil. Okay. Drown it in IPA and just clean it with a brush. Okay, so this is the bad one. Now I'm gonna put a stencil back in the... But first, let's see, because the balls are starting to form. Okay, so it's all good. Let me see here. There's some dirt there. Alright, I'm gonna shut this down and put the board here. We'll leave it to cool off a bit till I'm finished with the stencil clean. Sorry for that, it's a long video, but I will not edit them. It's just the way you spend your regular time for a repair. No lies, no do-overs. This is the time we spend repairing. Alright, so now let's fix some of the missing balls. Okay, some of these are grounds, I'm not gonna fix, but there's one there that I don't think it's a ground. I'm gonna change my tip to a smaller one. Let me arrange the camera a bit so you can see better what's going on here. Okay, I think this is better. So we need here a drop of solder paste. I'm gonna use the paste that we used for our reballing and just put some on the tip and then apply it here. See, and it's factory like. Good, let's see where we are missing. Those are grounds that we might need. So I'm gonna add here some flux and again with a solder tip just form a ball here. Okay, those are grounds, grounds, grounds. Here I need two, 1 and 2. One and 2. Do I need anyone else? This is all grounds. Okay, so we only need here. we need 3 here. 1 here, 1 here. Let's do this one too, and 1 here. Alright, so we have 1 here, 1 here, here, and the rest are just grounds. I'm gonna add the grounds also, because they will just give the board more strength. Okay, and that is it. I think the board is ready for soldering it back with the core board. I think we're fine. Let me see if there's any dirt around here that I need to remove. There's a few balls here and there. I'm gonna remove them. Okay, so it looks fairly good. I'm gonna heat up now the interposer, and I'm gonna add some flux once it's heat up properly. I moved all my setup and now I can't put it up perfectly. So I'm gonna use the hot air on 350 40R and just go around the interposer until it's warm enough to dump some flux on it. Okay, I think we're cool. Let's arrange some flux here. I want good amount of flux because it helps soldering back the boards, but not too much so it drips inside the board. Because you see how good this board looks. You can't even tell the CPU, basement CPU and Wi-Fi chip are moved over. It's like factory. And I don't like if somebody else will work on the phone when they open it to see a phone full of flux. Okay, let's add the board. Okay, so we start the heater. I'm gonna pause the video until it's almost melted because we need to wait for 200 seconds and I don't wanna edit it and do a faster one, so I'm gonna pause it for now. Okay, so we're We have 80 more seconds, but it seems that the board is kind of soldered. I'm gonna see if it jumps when I touch it. See, it's okay. And if we test here, for example, it's okay. Alright, I think they are soldered well. I'm gonna stop this. Yeah, and we'll restart it now, and I'm gonna wait until it gets to about 100 degrees so I can remove it, and then we will test the board and see what's going on. I'm gonna pause the video here also, so I don't have to edit it, and resume when it's colder. Okay, so the temp reached 116 degrees, that's the plate temp, so definitely sure the board is lower. The alloy I used was 148, so I can safely remove it. Yeah, and now I'm gonna just blow some more air with the hand pump so it cools even better. Yeah, and now I will use this cloth with IPA and clean the sides of the board. Clean it of all the flux that was leaking. Also has some on the back. Alright, it's fairly clean. Let's look a bit under the microscope. And it looks that it's soldered quite well. Don't see any gaps. Alright, so first thing is to clean it better. First thing is to connect it to the power supply and check if there's any short. In theory the phone should start in DFU, so the power consumption should be between 60 to 100 milliamps. Around there. The phone is a bit warm. Alright, let me have you see the screen. Pouring on the power supply, it's fine, we have no short yet. And if we prompt it to boot, we get 43 milliamps. I hope it's a DFU consumption. Let me put it in the case. I'm not gonna put it on the battery because the battery is drained completely. I'm gonna put it on the power supply, and we can try to reflash it in Trio Tools. Okay, but I just realized that I have a problem now, because I don't have a cable. I do not have the freaking cable, because I'm using it for the camera, for the iPhone that I film with, this one here. Okay, I think it's all good here. with the power supply, as I said. Let me connect also the screen so we can see if there's something happening there. Okay, we have the screen here. And now, let me go and find the cable. I'm gonna be right back. Okay, so I found on. That's good. Let's connect it to the computer. Let's connect it to the phone. There's power on the power supply. Okay, phone is connected. Let me open Trio Tools. Yay, and the phone is in DFU. So let's flash it. Oh, I don't have the firmware. Okay, I'm gonna start the download, pause the video, and resume when the download is finished. Alright, so 20 more seconds to go from the download. It's gonna take a bit to verify it, and then we can safely start to push it, and we'll see if and where it's gonna stop. It's on the verifying stage. Succeeded. Okay, so now let's see. We're gonna do a quick flash and see where it goes. If it goes, if we have an Apple logo, and so on. It's currently extracting the firmware because it's a fresh one. It's entering recovery mode, well, at least it's trying to. Let's hope it does. If it doesn't, and it's coming back to the DFU mode, it means that we have a problem with the CPU. I can't see any. I have an Apple logo. Yay! That's good news. It's sending the RAM disk. Sending the kernel cache. If we're past 18% and we get to 20 to the NAND, then I think we're kind of safe with the CPU. Yeah, it's now upgrading the NAND firmware. Perfect. Great. So it has communication with the NAND. It's mounting the new file system. working great so far. It's flashing the firmware. And now it's gonna update the gas gauge, the Stockholm, and soon we're gonna get to Veridian and baseband. And if it passes baseband, it means that we have a working bottom board also, and the swap for the bottom was successful. But let's wait and see. It's now at baseband. This will take a bit. Yay! And it passed the baseband with success, no errors, meaning that the baseband CPU works fine. It's updating Veridian now. Veridian is the charging IC controller. Do not confuse it with Kraken, which is the USB communication Thunderbolt chip. But it all seems to go well. I think at some point I'm gonna fast forward this one, because it makes no sense to stay that long. This will take a lot of time until it finishes. But let's see. Yeah, so the phone has been successfully installed. We can see here that it has IMEI. Let's see